Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, is embarking on an ambitious plan to introduce a gold-backed currency. This move aims to bolster the country's economy, diversify its financial system, and potentially shield it from global economic fluctuations. In a bid to scale up the economy of Nigeria, the federal government is considering ways to curb soaring inflation and would be giving the Central Bank of Nigeria powers to use gold to boost the reserves. Already, the National Assembly is discussing a bill to create a gold reserve authority and give the CBN the powers to be the automatic off-taker of all the gold produced in Nigeria. Lawmakers are also proposing boosting the shares of gold of Nigeria's foreign reserves to a minimum of 30% compared to 4% at present. Nigeria is heavily reliant on oil and gas for its budget revenues. So far, it has failed to boost significantly oil output to get more revenue or to diversify its economy to make it less dependent on oil production, exports, and prices. Inflation in the country has been running higher over the last year since the CBN dropped the peg of the local currency to the US dollar. The Nigerian currency, the Naira, has lost 70% of its value against the dollar over the past year. Nigeria's inflation hit a new high record and was at an annual rate of 33.95%, with food and non-alcoholic beverages, which makes a large part of the inflation basket. The International Monetary Fund also said that near-term risks in Nigeria are tilted to the downside. Adverse shock to oil production or prices would hit growth, the fiscal and external position, and exacerbate inflationary and exchange rate pressures. Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has declared a state of emergency on production in Nigeria's oil and gas industry as the country struggles to boost output. The NNPCL believes that Nigeria needs to take urgent actions to address the challenges that have plagued the oil and gas industries for years. Nigerian senators are also proposing to increase the powers of the Central Bank of Nigeria to enable it to use gold to strengthen the country's reserves. For this to succeed, a draft bill is currently before the Senate, which contains a raft of policies that, if passed, would make the CBN the automatic off-taker for all gold produced in the country, alongside a goal to make the precious metal at least 30% of Nigeria's external reserves. As of November, gold accounted for 4% of the nation's reserves, which currently stands at $34.8 billion. In June, the Senate passed for a second reading a bill for an act to make provisions for the Nigerian gold reserve industry. The bill is seeking a robust framework for the harnessing, exploitation, and marketing of gold. According to sources, the draft bill proposes to set up a gold reserve authority and the CBN governor to chair a gold reserve management committee, whose composition and functions will be similar to the Monetary Policy Committee of the bank. The bill, which follows a 2019 Central Bank Gold Purchase Program, would enshrine its role into the law while bringing the industry into the formal sector. Inflation in Nigeria stood at 33.95%, driven by high food inflation. This followed economic reforms, including fuel subsidy removal and floating of the Naira, which has seen the local currency depreciate around 70% against the dollar in the past 12 months. According to reports, gold mining in Nigeria is largely informal and makes only a tiny measurable contribution to the economy. The mining and quarrying sector of the economy grew by 6.3% in the first quarter from a year earlier, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, and analysts see potentials in the central banks holding more gold. The government also believes that continuous accumulation of gold over a long term will strengthen Nigeria's foreign exchange reserve portfolios, positively impacting inflation and reducing foreign exchange volatility. But what does it mean for Nigeria to float a gold currency? The gold standard is a monetary system in which the value of the country's currency is directly linked to gold. With the gold standard, countries agree to convert paper money into a fixed amount of gold. A country that uses the gold standard sets a price for gold, and it buys and sells gold at that price. The fixed price is in turn used to determine the value of its currency. For example, if Nigeria hypothetically set the price of gold at 500 Naira an ounce, the value of the Naira would be 1/500 of an ounce of gold. Currently, the gold standard is not used by any government. Britain stopped using the gold standard in 1931 and the US followed suit in 1933, finally abandoning remnant of the system in 1973. The gold standard was completely replaced by fiat money, a term used to describe currency that is used because of a government order, or fiat, that the currency must be accepted as a means of payment. In the US, for instance, the dollar is fiat money, and in Nigeria, the Naira is fiat money. The appeal of a gold standard is that it arrests the control of the issuance of money out of the hands of imperfect human beings, with the physical quantity of gold acting as a limit to issuance. A society can potentially avoid the perils of inflation. A brief history of the gold standard is enough to show that when such a simple rule is adopted, Nigeria's inflation can be avoided, but strict adherence to that rule can create economic instability, if not political unrest. To make it clear, a fiat system is a monetary system which the value of the currency is not based on any physical commodity, but instead is allowed to fluctuate dynamically against other currencies on the foreign exchange market. The rationale behind this initiative stems from several factors. Firstly, Nigeria, like many other developing nations, has faced challenges with currency stability and inflation. A gold-backed currency could provide a more stable store of value, reducing the impact of inflationary pressures. Secondly, Nigeria possesses significant gold reserves, making it a viable option for backing a currency. By utilizing its domestic gold resources, the country could reduce its reliance on foreign currencies and strengthen its economic sovereignty. The potential benefits of a gold-backed currency for Nigeria are multifaceted. It could attract foreign investment by offering a stable and secure investment option, and additionally, it could facilitate trade with other countries, particularly those that prefer gold-backed currencies. By reducing reliance on foreign exchange reserves, Nigeria could mitigate the risks associated with currency fluctuations and global economic uncertainties. However, the implementation of a gold-backed currency is not without its challenges. One significant hurdle is the need to establish a robust regulatory framework to oversee the mining, refining, and minting of gold. Ensuring transparency and accountability in the gold industry is also a crucial way to maintain public trust in the new currency. Furthermore, Nigeria must also address potential inflationary pressures that could arise from increased money supply associated with a gold-backed currency. The success of Nigeria's gold currency initiative would depend on several factors, including the stability of the global gold market, the effective management of the country's gold reserves, and the overall economic health of the nation. If implemented successfully, this bold move could position Nigeria as a leader in innovative monetary policy and contribute to the country's long-term economic prosperity. Nigeria has an estimated 200 million metric tons of gold reserves. Back in 2022, Nigeria was the 63rd largest exporter of gold in the world, with the United Arab Emirates, Switzerland, France, South Korea, and Indonesia being the main destination. Gold is a precious metal that has long been a store of value and a safe haven for investors seeking to hedge against inflation and economic volatility. It is known for maintaining its value over countries, and its unique physical properties makes it highly esteemed. If Nigeria eventually goes through with the plan of adopting a gold-backed currency, it is clear that the country will be on its path to glory. Please drop your honest comment and tell us what you think. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Thank you.